Exactly. It fit what they needed.
I mean, just like Jack Nicholson got us into the Joker.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey everyone, welcome to Off the Page. I'm your host Mike, and this is my co-host Chris. Hey Chris, how are you today?
I'm good. Nice to be here.
Awesome. Well, folks, we have a really fun show lined up for you today. A little bit later on, we're going to have Jeff Barrell, a local comic book store owner in the city. He's going to come on and talk about latest trends in the comic book industry, as well as tips and tricks for new collectors. And a little bit after that, we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to be Chris and I versus each other as Iron Man versus the Hulk. So you're going to get to watch Iron Man beat the Hulk to a pulp there.
No, you won't.
We'll see about that, Chris.
Gonna watch
we'll
that.
let the viewers decide on that later.
I guess we'll have to.
Well, tell me a little bit about yourself, Chris. What got you into comic books?
Well, I could, but I mean, it's your show, Mike. You should really go first.
Oh, you're the guest. I insist. I insist.
Okay, well, twist my arm. So yeah, I mean, I got into comic books pretty early. I mean, I was 3, maybe 4, and my grandfather would bring me home comic books, and not the comic books that people think of now. it was like World War II and Tomb of the Hidden Soldier, Crypt Keeper, Tales from the Crypt.
Not your Superman kind of comic book.
No, definitely not the kind of things you'd normally be giving a 3 or 4 year old kid to read. But yeah, I read those comics. Actually, that's where I learned to read, and then as I got a little bit older, I started to reading the DC comics, all the standards, Batman, Superman.
Oh yeah, the best.
All that kind of stuff. Then as I got a little bit older, and now I'm more of a Marvel guy, kind of gravitating.
I couldn't tell by your T-shirt there.
It's just just threw it on. But yeah, it's the characters with a little bit of a harder edge, a little bit of a darker side. The Hulk's my favorite character with that kind of Jekyll and Hyde thing going on.
Yeah.
Punisher, Daredevil, Moon Knight, Ghost Rider. Deadpool.
You're probably looking forward to Daredevil coming out season 2 on Netflix there.
Sure am. Daredevil, Punisher together. I've got that weekend booked off. I've already got some popcorn sitting in the cabinet waiting for it.
Right on.
And how about you? I'm guessing there's something to do with Batman.
Oh, I think you took a pretty good guess there. Pretty good guess. And you know what? I've always loved Batman. I grew up as a Spider-Man fan, but as soon as the Batman movies came out, I just totally got hooked on them. So yeah, just a whole lot of fun.
They sure are.
And so many different storylines, and we have the new Batman versus Superman movie coming out. I'm pretty much booking the day off of work for that one as well. So, just can't wait. And I think one of the things that I've always enjoyed about the Batman series, my mom actually got me into them when I was younger.
Oh, yeah?
And I just like the fact that, he's not a super powered guy. He
No.
doesn't have all, he wasn't bitten by a spider or anything like that.
Radioactive bat.
Yeah, he's just a pretty cool guy. So, well, enough about me, folks, and enough about Chris. After the break, we're going to come back with our guest, Jeff, and talk to you a little bit more about comic books here in Winnipeg. Hey everyone, welcome back to Off the Page. A little bit later on in the show, Chris and I are going to go head to head as Iron Man versus the Hulk, so prepare to watch Iron Man win that battle for sure. And right now I'm pleased to have Jeff Barrell with us, a local Winnipeg comic book guru. Hey Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into comic books, and a little bit about what you do there.
Sure. Well, I've been collecting comics for pretty much all my life. I'm a collector and fan of just pop culture in general. Right now, like what I do in the comic industry is, I buy, sell high-grade comics to local vendors, and I also sell internationally as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite comics?
Oh, we don't have enough time for all that, but I'm more of a 70s Bronze Age kind of guy. Marvel and DC, that's kind of what I grew up with, kind of leading into the 80s. Always have a fondness for the Golden Age stuff, though, too.
Yeah, okay, okay. And also in the city, do you find, are there a lot of like underground comics or independent comic book artists that are starting to come out? Or?
You know what? They've always been there. Now they're starting to get a little more push. There's a lot of talent in the city, so there is a lot of underground stuff. They bring stuff by my spot at the flea market quite often to show and to sell and so forth. And there is a lot of independent guys that are really coming up.
Right on, right on. So, getting their name out there. And
Yeah, no, it's a new graphic novel by a local guy. Right off the top of my head, I can't remember his name, but it's called Era,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's a really good steampunk-esque series, and most people from the city should check it out because it's really, really top notch.
right on. What are some of the trends that you're noticing in the comic book industry right now?
Right, well, the trends are all driven by the movies. Basically, right now, anything that kind of comes out, we're speculating years in advance. Like right now, we're looking at the Doctor Strange movie. We're looking at potential Shazam, Suicide Squad. The list goes on, and that drives the comic book market.
Yeah.
And not only that, though, the characters are changing based on how Hollywood sees them now. So when they're drawn into the comic books, they look very much like they're off the screen.
Okay. Do you find that the prices are going up because of it, or?
Oh, yeah. For the key appearances, the price jump that's been around since like in the last 10 years has grown astronomically. A comic book that you could have bought for $20, 10 years ago is now could be selling anywhere for like $1,000+ right now. It's ridiculous, especially the high grade CGC stuff.
Okay. I'll have to check my basement for those.
Yeah, absolutely. Start digging.
Now, also, looking at it from the other way, how about a movie that flops? Let's say like Fantastic Four, for instance.
Well, that didn't flop. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, that pretty much killed their comic, though, too. Like, right? Like, Marvel is like Fantastic Four doesn't exist anymore.
Right, and
realistically.
I have the conspiracy theory behind that is the movie itself didn't necessarily kill the comic. I think Marvel itself, because they don't own the rights to it anymore, killed it, so that Fox really doesn't have anything to kind of jive off of anymore.
No more free publicity.
No, not at all. So, but you know what? Fantastic Four has been such a staple in comic books that the key issues in that series will never drop off.
Yeah.
A Fantastic Four 48, which is the first Silver Surfer, Galactus, that stuff won't drop off ever. Yeah. So.
What did you think of the Deadpool movie? Just taking a look at you
Well,
there.
I can't take my 10-year-old daughter to it, that's for sure. But the movie itself, it's going to show us what's going to come in the future, and I think the R-rated superhero movie is going to start to come to the forefront because it did really well, and it reaches out to a lot of fans, that are our age. And
Yeah.
that's kind of who's driving, that kind of stuff, right? Is fans our age.
Yeah, and it was really interesting too, just how the whole thing got started. Ryan Reynolds, was rumored to have leaked the video,
Yeah.
and
That's all it takes, right? And what? It's like when they cast Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. You just realize that is Tony Stark, and it's the same scenario with this character as well. As he's Wade Wilson. Yeah.
what's your take on some of the TV series that are out, like Legends of Tomorrow?
Sure. I'm a huge fan of all three of those series, just because of how they tie into each other. It's like having a comic book that you could read every week, and DC is really, stepping ahead of the game in the TV side of it.
Yeah.
Hasn't caught up in movies yet, but Batman versus Superman will probably change that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, as you can tell,
Yeah.
I'll be there. So
Yeah, well, I'll be there, yeah, for sure. It's going to be good.
How do you
Yeah.
figure that's going to work out with the differential between their TV and their movies?
Yeah, well, you know what? I think, honestly, they're making a big mistake by not crossing that over, because they crossed that over a little bit, and with Marvel did that with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They crossed over some of those
Yeah.
characters. So I think it's a big mistake, because I think they really casted good characters for the Arrow and the Flash and so forth. And to not bring them over, I think
Into
is
the-
probably going to be very confusing for a lot of people.
Yeah, people are going to go expecting to see Grant Gustin, and they're
You
going to
got
be like, "Who's this guy? This
or
isn't the Flash."
Stephen Amell. Or,
Yeah, all of that. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. So I don't know why they went that route, but we'll see how it all turns out and how they kind of build the DC universe through the cinema.
And another show that comes to mind as well, and I was wondering, especially with the gender that comes into comic book collecting, Supergirl, for instance. Have you seen more females collecting comic books now?
As I do the different trade shows, the different Comic Cons, it is absolutely phenomenal. You know what? To actually say that they weren't collecting before is not true.
Yeah.
It just wasn't brought to the forefront with how they portray the superheroine now and the female character. They were always there, kind of, but now it's the characters that are actually getting the hype is the female character, and Supergirl is up there for sure.
Any tips for anybody who comes into your shop and has maybe had one comic book and wants to get into the hobby?
Sure. You know what? You got to collect what you love. Most people get back into collecting, or they start collecting because they've seen something they really enjoy. So as far as subject matter goes, you just got to find what you love and collect that, and just start small. books itself could be relatively expensive, so you don't necessarily want to invest too much and burn the hobby out for yourself. But there's a lot of great shops in the city you can go into, ask a lot of questions. There's the Winnipeg Comic Addicts Facebook group, who right now in my mind is the greatest resource in the city to just ask questions from all the collectors in the city.
Perfect. Well, thanks a lot for coming on the show today, Jeff. Really
Thanks for having me.
appreciate it.
Yep.
And folks, hope you enjoyed this interview, and you'll see more information about Winnipeg Comic Book Addicts on our Facebook page. And be sure to stick around, as coming up next, Chris and I go head to head as Hulk versus Iron Man. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome back to Off the Page, and welcome to our Versus segment. On today's segment, it's going to be me, the Iron Man, versus Chris and the Hulk. Let's go at it, Chris. What I would say for Iron Man, obviously he's superior to the Hulk because A, his costume. He can shoot repulsors out of his hands, out of his chest, easily take down the Hulk at any point. He's built the Hulk Buster. So right off the bat there, he's beat the Hulk, and his armor is virtually indestructible. So if you ask me, I think that the Iron Man could easily take down the Hulk. We've seen it in the movies, we've seen it in the comic books, and he just, I don't know, I think he knows how to weaken the Hulk at any point that he can.
I disagree with you. I mean, yeah, sure, you've seen it in the comic books, you've seen it in the movies. I've also seen the Hulk beat Iron Man's butt more than a few times in the comic books. And honestly, in the movies, we really have to be talking about what version of the Hulk is fighting Iron Man here. In the movies, he's probably the weakest version of the Hulk we've seen since the 70s TV show.
True,
But, I mean, he was also under the influence of Scarlet Widow at the time. Like, it wasn't Hulk fighting at full power. Iron Man was at full strength, and he still barely beat the Hulk. I mean, you have to drop a building on him, for goodness sake.
That's true, but I mean, that Hulkbuster costume is amazing. I mean, that's for him to come up with that out of nowhere.
Well, it looks cool, but who helped him build it? Banner helped him build it, for goodness sakes.
Well, of course.
So, I mean, Iron Man can't even beat the Hulk by himself. He needed the Hulk to help the Hulk beat the Hulk when the Hulk was already weak. Like, there's no way Iron Man beats the Hulk in any kind of serious fight, you know.
But you're also dealing with Iron Man, who's got amazing intellect, and he has the money to put into the weaponry to stop the Hulk. And I mean, he's probably one of the world's best resources to stop the Hulk if the Hulk ever goes rogue.
If the Hulk ever goes rogue. And I mean, it took Iron Man, Mr. Fantastic, Doctor Strange, Black Bolt to send the Hulk into space because they were worried if he ever went rogue, they couldn't stop him. That just made him mad. He came back, and then he beat them all up altogether.
Thanks for watching today's episode of Off the Page. Hope you enjoyed our interview with Jeff Barrell and got to learn a few things about tips and tricks for new collectors and comic book trends here in the city. And be sure to check us out on our Facebook page and email us. Feel free to email us and let us know that you think that I won the battle between Chris and I with our Hulk versus Iron Man. Definitely enjoy all the votes coming my way. And remember, folks, keep it off the page.
You're crazy.
Oh,
Nobody's voting for Iron Man. Hulk won. You heard the...
Thanks for watching today's episode of Off the Page, everyone. Hope you enjoyed our interview with Jeff Barrell. Definitely informative about tips and tricks for new collectors and comic book trends in the city. And hey, feel free to give us an email or check us out on Facebook on the banner below, and especially if you'd like to let Chris know how badly I beat him as the Iron Man versus the Hulk in our little segment there. And thanks for watching.
You're kidding.
Oh, come on. I totally beat you.
No way. You're going to see. Everybody's going to email you and message you on Facebook and tell you I won.
I don't know about that.
Well,
Well,
yeah,
we'll let the public decide on
find
this
out.
one.
I guess we will.
Yeah, we'll see.